Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to an honestly very hard challenge. In the last episode, Baron began to suspect that his tribe may have left him here all alone. Baron is his tribe's prophet, so he was receiving some very ill-fortuned omens. It seemed like all of the termite mounds right underneath this tree were all red, so he figured that must mean something terrible is coming in their future. Of course, that was about the time that our tribe arrived on the ports, so he figured that he could probably get some help from our tribe mates too. And while he did bring Bander over for that very reason, he can't find his tribe anymore. To me, it seems like they all may have left on these burning savannah ports. Maybe this was even their old home. So he might be all alone here after all, with only our tribe to keep him company. And I'm sure that Kaya in particular is feeling very, very sorry for him. In fact, I wonder if she's starting to reflect on her own choices. She's left behind plenty of creatures too. Her son, for one. Romeo is still way over on the other side of the island. In fact, these two can't really get further away from each other than they are right now. Oh. And it looks like a brand new little crabbit has spawned too? Oh, interesting. Baron was actually tracking a crabbit over here. We're hoping that maybe this crabbit can lead him back toward his family. But the fact that the crabbits are so present right now must mean that the bandits are involved. We were trying to figure out if all these shells were a gift from the Balance Sisters or from the bandits themselves. And now I think you have a pretty clear idea of what's going on, Bandersnatch, so you better be careful. In fact, let's leave him for one of our last turns. That way if a leech does end up coming up here and sticking to him, maybe he can run back to the safety of the grasses to see if somebody else can help him instead. But yeah, I do wonder if maybe Kaya's starting to reflect on her past choices. For that matter, maybe she's even starting to wonder if Vine misses her too. Vine was a very, very egotistical creature, mind you. He only really thought of himself. But so did Kaya in a way. She never even said goodbye to him. She took away the possibility of him ever getting the chance to meet his son too. So seeing Baron so brokenhearted right now has to have her wondering if she made the right choice. Well, for now, let's have Baron start creeping his way into the grasses. We're gonna go investigate and see what this crabbit might be hiding. To be honest, the hope is that maybe we'll find somebody trapped out here in the waves. Maybe somebody wasn't able to make the journey back to their homeland, and we'll be able to save them with Baron. So come on down here. I suppose Kaya could probably come down here with you. We could have her dig around for roots, maybe. If only we could find a few for her to paw from the ground. She'll inspect this area and see if she can find any clues. Why don't you come on over here? Over to the palm trees. I wonder if maybe somebody has taken shelter underneath this tree too. If they couldn't stand the heat anymore, then that would be a good place to rest. Now let's head back to the royalty of the tribe. Oh, how adorable is this? It looks like our little friendly Bergina is still glued to your side, Evie. It really seems like he's trying to repay the favor, I guess, and protect you before you have your baby. So let's have you go ahead and pick up the extra berries that you can reach. Then we'll have you jump on over here, because you could probably build your nest again right next to this termite mound. Granted, it wasn't a very lucky termite mound. We were never able to gather any termites from it. But Romeo's going to try his best to find a better way to gather food. Some way that's going to actually impress Princess Coca-Cola. So let's have you scoot into the grasses and sniff around. It's going to be very, very slow moving since you only have one turn to use. That hot savannah sun is really, really wearing down on our creatures. We're lucky that we have at least a few creatures who have the big ears in their traits. That's kind of why I'm wondering if maybe they could start a family together. I mean, not only are they sharing this very, very delicate moment, and I'm sure that Baron is glad to have her company, at least that proves that he isn't completely alone. But their babies would also be super useful in the savannah, just because they wouldn't have to worry about running out of energy. So Coca-Cola, what should we do with you? Maybe we'll bring you down here to be with your mother, and also to talk with Bergina for a little bit. I'm sure she's probably sending some stony glares right over her shoulder, warning her father to stay very, very far away. Last time, he accidentally scared the Bergina. Oh, watch out for that leech. Maybe the Bergina can intimidate it back into the ocean. Luckily, I don't think the Berginas have to worry about the leeches sticking to them. But I suppose if for some reason you do end up catching it, you know that Coca-Cola is going to be right at your side, ready to swoop in and save the day. So Chess, since it's pretty clear that your daughter doesn't want you disturbing this moment, let's bring you over here so you can investigate the water. We'll have you climb right to the water's edge, searching for some fish, of course, and maybe trying to find a good way for your family to cross into the oasis. To be honest, I still don't think that we're going to be able to do it without some sort of water-breathing ability. Though I guess there's always the potential that maybe some of our wanderers are hiding those. Oh, hello, little Crabbit. Look at you walking circles around poor Baron. I guess that means you probably don't know where his family is. Well, likewise, Lumina, you're on the search for your family right now, or at least the one that you consider to be the closest to your family. She's still trying her best to track down Kaya, her old mentor, and I guess in a way kind of like her mother figure too. Now you're awfully lucky, Bandersnatch. While the other side of the tribe is dealing with those leeches on the shore, it seems like you've been able to avoid them. It must be that sneaky way of yours. So let's have you go ahead and steal that shell from right underneath the Crabbit's feet. Ah, and you have a little accomplice. A little clown koi swimming down from the very center of the oasis. I wonder if that's a good sign for you? I wonder if these clown koi would actually be considered good fortune in some way. So when they were swarming all around Baron, that must have been a sign that he was on the right path. Maybe he even took it to mean that it was a sign that he found the right creatures to help him. But with one more turn to make, I wonder if we should risk putting you down here in the water. That would open you up to being able to collect plenty more of those shells, but it also opens you up to attack from the leeches. So we might want to consider moving you first as we skip the turn here. Let's just zoom out so we can make sure nothing dangerous is going to spawn. And so we can keep a close eye on our Perugina friend too. Luckily it looks like today is a much cooler day, so maybe our energy will return soon too. Oh no, and it looks like one of those shells may have disappeared. Oh, Bandersnatch, so you only have the one shell right here to gather instead. Yeah, look at all of those shells, swept right away by the tides. You know that the bandits definitely had a play in that. I would say that maybe the Crabbit had just taken all of his shells away, but knowing the tricky ways of the bandits, I'm sure they were just trying to lure you down here. So let's have you creep back to the shores again, and I guess since you only have one more turn to make, we'll have you jump back here to investigate the water one more time. You're probably curious if you can find those clown koi in the waves again, or maybe even some of those tiny little morsels that you were feeding on before. In fact, I wonder if Lumina would enjoy that too, or if she would just find it disgusting. I would say that Lumina has a little bit of a fear of the ocean. I think that's mainly Evie's influence too. As much as I hate to say it, she kind of instilled this idea that the water is fatal. And I guess to somebody like Lumina, the water could easily be her undoing. If she lets herself get infected by one of those leeches too, and she doesn't have somebody pick it off right on that turn, then it's either sure death for them or sure death for her. So it's probably a good thing that Evie has made her very, very cautious. But at the same time, that means she doesn't really like to see other creatures spending time with the ocean either. That's why she ended up leaving the Berryina behind. I guess this guy is a little bit too reckless for her taste. It's kind of ironic too if you think about it. She was always all about adventure on the old island. I'm sure she still is in a way, but only if it has nothing to do with the sea. Now, did we find anybody new back here by any chance? Aside from those Crabbits in the waves? It looks like things are still as quiet as can be back here. Well, Baron, let's at least have you two take a quick rest underneath this tree over here. Sheltered by the shade, the two of you can regroup. And let's try one more time to find a few of those roots. Now, surprisingly, everything over here seems completely bare. We do still have a few roots over here by the kids, so I know they can definitely spawn here, but maybe his tribe picked them all clean before they left for a different place. So instead, I guess all you can really do is just clear out this area of grasses. Maybe if you're lucky, Baron could even find a permanent nest around here too. They always seem to be around the trees. Now that Leech is probably having Evie feeling very, very concerned. She knows that her daughter would go toddling after that Berryina with no questions asked, and she probably wouldn't even notice if she was stumbling straight into the jaws of a leech. So Evie, let's have you run after your daughter for a moment, that way we can get one extra piece of food out of it too. Unfortunately, with the lack of berries, we are running out of food quickly, so our leader Chess is going to have to figure out some sort of way to replenish our stores very fast. Unfortunately, those fish are just out of your reach, too. Let's have you curl around the oasis this way. If we bring you over here, I guess you could see if we can find any fish on this side. At least those would be worth a little bit more than berries to you. And though he might be cloaked by the grass, I'm sure that Romeo is watching this whole situation very closely too. Let's have him jump down here. It's very risky, but I did want to see if maybe he could find some of those water-breathing plants. Maybe he would dance along the shore like this to try to get Cocola's attention. He can see that she is completely fearless charging after the Sparagina, so I'm sure he figures that she enjoys the thrill of dodging leeches. He's sure that he must look so brave in her eyes. But in reality, she is hardly sparing him a second glance. So let's go ahead and skip the day again. And I guess this time we'll go back to our wanderers over here, right underneath the shade of the tree. I'm curious if maybe somebody's going to spawn this time? Anybody new for us to meet? No, the oasis is probably one of the quietest islands that I've ever been on. Though that being said, I guess there's always the possibility that they might be too sneaky for us to notice. If Baron's family does truly rely on stealth, maybe they're watching us right now and we just can't see those silhouettes. And I guess that's something that Kaya would know a thing or two about as well. After all, that was kind of how we ran into her father. So let's bring her back here. Oh, perfect. I had a feeling there was going to be another permanent nest underneath this tree. Well, surely you would take that as a good omen, right? Now, I have noticed that these two do have some pretty poor fertility. We know for sure that Baron here definitely has the infertility trait on him somewhere, because he only has a 1 total. And as for Kaya with her 2 infertility, that either means 2 low fertilities or 1 infertile gene. So that means their babies could end up being completely infertile too. So it is kind of a risk to breed them, but right now I feel the benefits outweigh the risks. So maybe in a way this is Baron's way of moving on too. As he leaves the old prophet's tree behind him and starts a family underneath this new tree, he's shedding away those bad omens that once haunted him. It's all about the future now, and whatever the future has in store, he knows that Kaya is going to be right by his side. She's not going to let herself fall into the same trap again. No more drifting away without even saying goodbye. Now, how much longer do we have before the babies grow up? Let's see. We're at 12 days with Cocola, and Romeo's at 14 days, so still a few good more days to go. I wonder if that means that maybe we could have Cocola go after Romeo. Like if she did spare a quick glance over her shoulder, she would notice that he is being very reckless right now. So we'll have her hop over here instead, as Evie goes ahead to gather the berries. Or maybe to build her nest. Let's bring her up here, back to the termite mound so she can build her nest on this turn, and we'll have her pick those berries next time. In fact, I suppose Chess could probably come back down here to pick those for her. He is a little bit distracted by those fish right now, but I'm sure he's going to want to meet his baby. Yeah, let's give him one more night. We'll have him scoot along this way. Oh, to find a permanent nest, and to find those fish again too. Just tempting you right out of your reach. I would have him swim over here to this higher water, but I'm honestly afraid that's just going to kill him instantly. I know that if we set up our creatures on these lower tiles and they don't go to dry land immediately, they usually end up taking drowning damage. So if any of you know how to cross the oasis better than I do, then feel free to let me know, because right now I still think that we should just wait for better genes. I mean, honestly, there's probably not that much in here that would help us anyways. There might be a few berry bushes right in the middle, but until we have the wings or something, some way to gather food from the trees in the middle, it's probably best that we stay on dry land anyways. Now Romeo must be feeling a surge of confidence. He thinks that he has truly caught her attention, so we'll scoot him on back here so he's not in direct danger of the leeches anymore. And then I believe we just have Bandersnatch and Lumina to move next. So as he gazes into the tempting waves, searching for more little fish to scoop up, and maybe as he cracks open one of these coconuts too, we'll have Lumina charge in from the background, scolding him all the while for his recklessness. Actually, Ooh, not only has she unearthed the fish for you, but it looks like she could come on over here to pick up these berries too. So maybe on the next turn you could offer up a little fish snack, and we'll see if that changes her mind any. I still have high hopes that we're going to see the return of the bananas in these two. Miss Influence has to be hidden somewhere in our tribe. We just have to find it again. So let's go ahead and skip the day one more time. We'll zoom in on Evie this time and see what her brand new little baby is going to look like. Oh, wait a second. Is this our friendly Bergina? Okay, because I know I definitely heard a growl. So who's being attacked by a Bergina now? Oh, I swear I heard a growl. There he is. Oh my gosh, in the ocean? Wait a second, is this what the Krabbits were leading us to? Oh my gosh, Baron, maybe you were right to keep those bad omens in your mind. Now that he's decided to cast them off, the deities have come back with a vengeance. I mean, if the Krabbits were being governed by the Bandit brothers all along, if they were some sort of illusion that they crafted, then I guess it makes sense that as soon as these two settle down in their new home, that's when danger strikes. So, Baron, I think you know what to do next. We're going to have to put as much distance between you and the Bergina as we can possibly get, because unfortunately you two are not exactly the strongest. And aside from that, Kaya is carrying your baby now, so I know you're not going to want to see her in danger. So while this seemed like the perfect home to you, I think you're going to have to return back to the Prophet's Tree for now, at least until you know that this area is safe again. In fact, this would be your chance to warn Bandersnatch. Maybe there's the possibility that he can still save your tribe after all, save your brand new family. So maybe not the tribe that you were thinking he was going to save, but still very important nonetheless. You know, I can't imagine that Kaya's too happy about this either. Her whole mission was to destroy the Berginas for taking her mother's life. And while she has taken care of plenty of Berginas in the meantime, we know she's not one to run away from a fight. So the only way that Baron would be able to convince her is if he promises that she can come back to get her revenge later. Once they have more numbers on their side, and once they can properly regroup. I'm kind of surprised that Lumina has so much energy, actually. Oh, that's right. That would be because she's underneath the shade of this tree. Maybe that's something that you need to consider too, Bandersnatch, but I know you're a little bit too concerned with the fish at the moment. So gather those all up for Lumina as she clears out the grasses around you, and I guess we'll see what she thinks. She is a very hard lady to impress, but at least she's willing to give it a try. Oh, and with all the commotion, I didn't actually check and see what this baby's name was. I saw that he had the nimble fingers, which is super good, just like his sister. Oh, Cherubel? Is that your name, little one? That's super cute. He reminds me of a little bear for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I mean, he doesn't really look anything like a bear. He looks more like a porcupine with that spiky body of his. The gray mane makes him look like a grizzled old man, too. Maybe it's just those rounded ears. And the nimble fingers, I guess. Perfect for stealing honey. Though in the case of our tribe, I guess it would just be perfect for stealing termites from these hills. Assuming that he's a little bit better at it than his sister was anyways. You know, he might even be able to crack open these termite hills by himself. Yeah, 3 in strength thanks to that spiky body. So as it turns out, he is actually going to be one of the strongest in his family. Just under his very own father. So I know you're going to want to go meet your new little baby very soon. Oh, but look at those fish. Now we have a clown koi too. Oh, Jess, that has to be so tempting. Well, let's have you go ahead and pick up the grass right here. That way you know that this could be a potentially good fishing spot, I guess. Maybe in the future you can return to it once you have somebody who can get a little bit further than you can. I mean, he has a swimming tail, so he could actually jump all the way over here. But it still says that it's a tile that would be considered underwater. It has that different symbol on it. So I'm not sure what we should do. Should we really risk Chess's life like that? Let me know what you guys think. I'm not sure if Chess would be the right one for us to choose since he is so important. He doesn't have the no paws, he has some pretty important strength. So if he ended up passing away, I think our tribe would be very vulnerable. And despite what Romeo might think, he is not the best at everything. In fact, he doesn't have a single point's worth of fishing skill to his name. So even if he jumped into the middle of the oasis, he definitely wouldn't be able to get us any food. So he's not the right one for the job either. But that being said, Coca-Cola, you really need to keep a very close eye on him. He thinks that he is the king of the world, and now that you're following in his shadow, it's probably really only encouraging his behavior. You're going to have to give him a stern talking to, actually. Convince him that the whole world does not revolve around him, no matter what he might think. And then Evie, I think that just leaves you. How sweet is it that this friendly Berrina has stayed right by her side this entire time? It's pretty clear that he's trying to protect her baby too, so at least we won't have to worry about any dangers over this way. Even if a Berrina did spawn, I'm pretty sure that our friendly Berrina would go after him. So she's never felt safer. And in the next episode, hopefully we can find that same sense of security for Kaia and Baron too, as they return to Bandersnatch and find that Lumina's ready to work too. Maybe if all four work together, they can actually take him down, and the Kravitz are still just as present as ever. It really makes me wonder what that could mean too. If Baron is taking prophecies from the fish, I suppose the Kravitz would make sense as well. But if the Kravitz are only being controlled by the Bandit Brothers, then you know trouble is following them. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!